Hey guys, and welcome back after the longer 3-day weekend. I'm down today, 260, so not a big red day or anything, just kind of an overall scratch day. Markets are down quite a bit, around 1.5, a little over negative 1.5 on average, which is pretty heavy. And overall, the small caps weren't that great either. So I don't really care about being red today. It was just kind of like almost inevitable unless I got really lucky on something, like, I don't know, a big BBIG rally or maybe a big NURO halt to the upside. I mean, those were like the only two things that were like very quick and plausible. Other than that, it was a pretty bad market. So like always, I'll be talking about the tickers I traded and focusing on the trades, but I also really want to focus during this video as well on a different topic, and that's getting up at 4:45. So for a good part of the year, I'm either in Europe or I'm on the East Coast. And since I trade pre-market, which opens at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I usually like to get up an hour before the market. So that's around like 6 a.m. if I'm on the East Coast, or if I'm in Berlin or wherever in Europe. That really doesn't matter because it starts around 2 p.m. Local time in Europe, depending on which country you are. So it's very, very comfortable. It's like after lunch, then you start trading. It's really, really a beautiful thing. So what I noticed in the last 2 years of day trading small cap gap and go strategy is a lot of times 7 to 8 a.m. has some of the best momentum, and it's very clean action and there's no halt. So for me, it was always the best time to trade. And just check out my monthly and yearly recap video here if you want to learn more about my stats if you haven't done so already. But basically, in a nutshell, that's where I make most of my money. But historically, that's, I have full sleep. I'm really, wide awake. I get up and I'm just like super energized and ready to go. Lately, I've been on the mountain time zone. So that's 2 hours ahead of Eastern Standard Time. So at 7 a.m. when pre-market starts on TOS, that's 5 a.m. My local time right now in Utah. And I've been here since a little bit before Thanksgiving, somewhere around like mid-November. So I've been here for quite a long time, and to get ready for that 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time open, I'm waking up at 4:45 a.m. Mountain Time, so my local time right now. And what I've noticed is the first month it worked pretty good, but lately, and I haven't really changed anything in my routine. I'm still trying to go to bed at around 8:45 by 9 o'clock every weekday. But man, it just really adds up and you just become so lethargic. I mean, oftentimes by dinner time, I'm just like a zombie at the table. So it's really affecting my overall life. And I find it very difficult to consistently want to wake up at 4:45. I still do it, but I just become like, oh, this isn't really ideal. I'm not a big fan. For some reason, like waking up after 5, like 5:30, 5:45, isn't that really that big of a deal. I've never really had so many issues with it, but I feel like once you get before 5, that's really when it messes up with your like natural biological clock, at least for me personally. Now, back in high school, I used to love sleeping. I was never really a morning person. I would get up early in the morning to either go surfing or like go fishing, but like that's pretty much it. Lately, I'm totally fine with being a morning person. I actually really like it. I like the amount of work I can get done. Even in Europe, I wake up around 6 just because I like to focus on my business before I have to do any trading later in the day. So I really do enjoy waking up early, but lately, this 4:45 it's almost too early sometimes, which is tough because my most profitable trading time is from 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'm like in this huge tug of war of kind of what I should be doing. And from the outside, you probably think, Alex, is probably worth it because, if that's where you make most of your money, that's the way to go. But based on my, late performance and my statistics, I've actually made less money from 7 to 8 because I've been so overall tired and I can't make really good decisions when I'm tired. We've had many videos about this, or at least the last few videos that's been a bit of a topic. So here's what I've been thinking about doing. Basically, if it's like the first trading day of the week, let's say it's a Monday or like today, Tuesday, because Monday was the holidays, maybe waking up at 5:45 just to kind of ease into the schedule a little bit, especially because during the weekend, sometimes you'll have a sleep-in day and it's really hard to readjust back to 4:45 after sleeping in, to like 8 o'clock or something like that, because that's just like a 4-hour difference and it really smacks you in the face. So I think easing into the schedule would be a little bit easier. And then there's kind of a second component where lately the market's been a lot slower. So I'll get to my laptop, it's 4:50 or 4:55 a.m. Local time at this point, and it's just flat. It's a barren desert out there, so it just feels like you're waking up for no reason. And lately, it's been happening more and more. I'm in a bit of a predicament because a part of me is like consistency is everything, and that's the most important way to grow. But then I've also learned over 2 years in trading small cap gappers that the market fluctuates from time to time, and sometimes there's more action after the market opens, sometimes there's more action pre-market. But the most important thing is that you're ready ready to go and you're alert, you're fully rested. So I feel like personally, since the market is a little bit slower right now, pre-market, and it's really important to be fully rested, it makes more sense either easing into the week and then waking up earlier if you start seeing those patterns at 7 a.m. local time or Eastern Standard Time. So then, waking up early again, or until you start seeing that momentum happening at those earlier hours, just continue sleeping in a little bit longer. And I think that's probably the way I'm going to go for at least this week going forward, and then seeing how I feel about it and just kind of making slight adjustments from there. Because I really do feel like, first of all, the number one thing you should always put first is your well-being and your health, and then your career and stuff like that. Because without that, good health, everything else is pretty much just worthless. So there's really no point in focusing on anything else until you feel like you found a good, healthy system that you can abide by, which I feel like I found. But lately, the 4:45 is just getting a little bit too early on a consistent basis. I honestly have no idea how people do 4 a.m. It's just like mind blowing to me, and big hats off to those people. But for me personally, it's very tough to keep up with that routine. I've been doing it for about, let's see here, two and a half months now. So like, it's possible, I get it, and I'm not totally against it if there's a really good reason for waking up. But waking up and then looking at the markets for 2 hours where nothing happens is not ideal. So if we were seeing good movers every day at 7 a.m., that'd be a little bit different. I would put in the extra work, I guess, at that point. But until we see the market starting to pick up, I don't really feel like it's worth it. I mean, look at these lead gappers here. We have nothing over 40%. Well, MYNZ just popped up, but I mean, this is really bad lead gapper kind of activity right here, and it's almost noon Eastern Standard Time. So that just is mind blowing to me how bad the market is right now, especially for Q1. Plus, it's earnings seasons, and I got a lot of taxes to work on. So like, I'm not the only one in this phase where you're overwhelmed with earnings, and then at the same time you have personal taxes you need to be working on, or corporate taxes. So I kind of get why the market's in a little bit of a slump, and I've even talked about that, predicting this a few weeks ago, because I knew earnings season was coming up, and a lot of entrepreneurs and traders have S corporations or LLCs, and they have to be working on those taxes as well. So there's a lot going on. Plus, at the same time, the market's in a very risky spot with interest rates being raised. So there's a lot of kind of red flags around that as well. So I understand why traders maybe right now are a little bit more reserved. So what I would rather do is save the energy, wait for the market to get a little bit hotter, and then, if I need to wake up really early, I'm totally fine with doing that. Again, I'm not against waking up early, but I don't like, gunning it on a daily basis for no reason. It's like waking up early to go surfing, but there's no waves out there. And that's kind of what I feel like I'm doing. And then you're just sitting at the beach, looking at more or less a lake, and you're like, wait, why did I wake up early again? And that's kind of how I've been feeling. Every now and then we actually get that, random swell that happens at 7, but it's rare. It's not the norm anymore, at least temporarily. So until we start seeing a little bit more action pre-market, I think I'm going to sleep in an extra hour. It still means I get up at 5:45. So it's not like I'm trying to be lazy or anything here. And if I was, let's say, on the East Coast, or I was right now in Europe, I would still be doing the 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, because I feel like I'm already, fully awake and ready to go at that point. So I'd rather not miss it. But you always have to adjust kind of where you are in your life situations. And right now, being in mountain time, it's not advantageous, I feel like, on a overall spectrum for me to get up at 4:45. I guess we'll see what happens, but that's my kind of current belief. And I've done it every now and then where I slept in till 5:45, and I kind of missed that first 7 a.m. wave, which actually ended up being totally fine. And I felt in my head way more energetic and way more rested, and that felt like the way to go. So tomorrow I'm going to sleep until 5:45. I'm obviously going to miss that first 7 a.m. push, which I think is totally fine. It would have been great to miss it today. Maybe we're going to have a huge mover tomorrow, and I'm just going to be like, oh God. But that's fine. That's something that I feel like on average I'd be okay dealing with. Now, if we see constantly 7 a.m. picking up again, I'll start waking up earlier again. But as I mentioned before, being fully rested in your health is always the number one priority. So I want to kind of prioritize that, get fully rested. I'm super dreary today, and I hate being working while I'm super dreary. And usually I don't even drink coffee or anything like that while I'm working. And I feel like now I almost have to, because I just can't even wake up, which is really the opposite how I always am, which I think really highlights the problem. I'd love to actually hear from anyone that wakes up before 5 a.m. or I guess at 5 a.m. or anything before, how they kind of go about it. How do you feel about it? How does it work for you? Do you have a really early going to bed schedule? And then even if you do, how do you manage that with everything else? Because I feel like it's really nice to usually be up to at least 10, and on the weekends till at least midnight. But then it's really hard to readjust from that, come Monday morning or Tuesday morning if Monday's a holiday. I mean, I guess I kind of get it at the end. You just have to go to bed. But do you think it's like net positive? It's net worth it? And I watched a few YouTube videos on it where, people try the 4 a.m. thing. Some people like it, some people don't. I guess it's a very personal preference, and it's also an ultimate like lifestyle decision as well. But when you see a 4 in front of your alarm clock, you're just like, no, what is going on here? For some reason, 5 is okay. 6 I feel like is ideal. 7 I already feel like I'm sleeping in way too long, but that 4 is just like, what's going on here? So those are my thoughts. I would love to hear yours. Let's go into the tickers now, starting with BBIG, the ticker I'm most read on, which is unfortunate because it's like the ticker that's doing the best today. It's up only 20% today, but it has really good dollar volume. And on top of that, it's a multi-day runner. So if we zoom in on this ticker on the daily, you can see this ticker has been really nice, just constantly chugging along here. This would have been a phenomenal swing trade. It is a little bit uncomfortable in terms of stats. 136 million shares outstanding. That's a little bit high, and it's over $500 million in market cap, which is very high. But it's been on a strong run, so there's a little bit of that. Looking at the 5 minute, you can really see how kind of nice this ticker has been stair stepping with increasing volume. So if we kind of zoom in a little bit, we have a first stair breakout, first stair consolidation, another breakout. This is a bit of an awkward stair, but eventually one comes in with that big support level, breaks out for another stair, breaks out another stair, and then right now it's going a little bit quicker. But it broke that 9 EMA a little bit more significantly today than it usually does. Here was a big break on 9 EMA as well. But, going back to the daily, you can see this ticker is near some big time resistance. We broke above the 180-day SMA, which is usually the backside indicator. So right now we're clearly in a range again, or, in the short-term front side, but there's still a lot of resistance on this ticker. So I'd be careful buying it around 5.5 for sure. I mean, this is just a huge significant resistance zone because it was, former support here, roughly here, and then we broke it a little bit with low volume and it became support again, but then it became resistance here. So I mean, this is like a tried and tested pivot area. So I'd be really careful coming into this zone right now. Looking at the 1 minute, you can kind of see how I went ahead and traded this one. It wasn't really the best trading. My first trade on this one was pre-market. We got a attempted break of VWAP. Let me zoom in on the 5 minute a little bit better. I think it was like right here. Attempted break of VWAP, but it instantly flushed back. I had a very small loss on it. It was almost not even worth talking about. So I was like, okay, well, this ticker is very flushy. Just, kind of watch out on this ticker. There was a 5 minute flag setup over here. I tried to trade. You can see the 5 minute right here, and I bought it near the low. So technically this was a good entry, but this one failed just to curl back later. I tried to get another pullback on it. I actually had a pretty okay entry, then eventually closed it before it had that reversal. But I don't know. I had a hard time trading BBIG because if you know my stats and you watch the monthly recap video and you've been around the channel for a little bit, I make most of my money on trades I hold below 3 minutes. So this is, in that aspect, a little bit of a slow ticker. It has like a random spike, but then it dies off and then it consolidates. And I don't trade those kind of tickers very well. Plus, those statistics we talked about before, it's not my go-to setup, and multi-day runners aren't really my favorite either when it comes to day trading. So BBIG has been a tough one for me. Unfortunately, gave back the most on this one, and I don't know. It was fine because I just feel like there wasn't that many opportunities for me personally on it. Going to RBLX, I'm down 111 on this one. I actually ended up trading RBLX because it was a bit of a sympathy play on ATVI, which had acquisition news from Microsoft Activision. Really, really big gap up here. The problem was on this one, we had a really good 5 minute setup. I started buying here around right below VWAP, and it looked like support was coming in. And I actually did an okay little trade here. Eventually it started selling off. I quickly cut my losses, but then it kept on going down even further than I thought. We were at big 9 EMA support, so I bought a little bit more here. And I think I walked away with a small green trade here, but overall we didn't get any continuation or any sort of bounce off this big 5-9 EMA zone, which I was looking for. So that was a little bit unfortunate. We did have a pretty nice red to green move on this ticker, but not like my go-to kind of ticker. So I guess this one I was kind of trading out of the box a little bit, which I feel like in a way you kind of have to do at the moment because there's just not our, classic bread and butter setups at the moment. SRGA, just a small win on this one. Ooh, the 1 minute looks devastating. Yeah, on the daily, this is also on a backside with big resistance around 1.1. Healthcare, 147 million shares outstanding, 127 million market cap. And yeah, a little bit all on the high end. Looks like it does have some catalysts coming out though. And On the 5-minute, this ticker pre-market wasn't really that interesting. I thought, we were flagging out here. Maybe we get a little move to like 110 or so. We didn't. So I took a kind of a scratch on this one. Basically, I was buying into this breakout, looking for that continuation. It didn't happen, and I was able to get out for a small loss. But look at this. I'm trading it with such small size that these tickers, I'm really just taking stabs at the dark sometimes. And yeah, my size is so small that it's really insignificant if I would have won or lost that. But sometimes I'm just trying to keep my brain active at one point. So that's another problem with a slow market and you're just tired. It's like kind of the worst combo. And I think that's why I've been tripping over myself a lot. And kind of the last 2 recap videos were a big focus on more just like my personal state as opposed to the market, because there's just not that much to talk about in the market. The last ticker here, NURO, I'm actually up slightly on this one, which is nice to finally be up on something. But on any normal day, if I'm up $100, I feel like that's a scratch. So it's still kind of exhausting, but at least it's not red for once. Coming to the daily, we're on a big backside on this one with big time resistance around 7, and then like 750 or so where the 180-day SMA is. Healthcare sector, 6.7 million shares outstanding. That's a really nice amount. No wonder it halted today, and then 45 million market cap. I mean, these stats are much nicer, and it has FDA breakthrough designation catalyst. That's a pretty good catalyst. But for some reason, it's just not getting that much action today. And I mean, look at this pre-market start. This is horrendous. It starts around 9 o'clock and, moves up 26%. I'm usually not even interested in trading tickers unless they're over 30%. So you could just kind of get a feel for like, there's no momentum out there right now. And I just don't feel like it's worth, grinding out super early in the morning just to kind of try not to fall asleep in your trading chair. And obviously I have a standing desk, but sometimes I put it down because I'm just like, I'm going to sit down and just kind of close my eyes until something pops up on the scanners. What I did well on NURO is not, FOMO into anything, especially near the highs. This would have been a good trade. I actually had a limit order here, but I missed it. It was a 20% pop. So this would have been a good one. Technically on the 5-minute and the 1-minute, it was a really nice front side pattern. But when I noticed that this thing, totally sold off again, I definitely was able to identify there's a range between $7 and $6.50 because of that daily support and resistance we talked about in the beginning. And I did a little bit of range trading here. Basically, I was buying below VWAP and selling above VWAP, keeping it really, really simple. I wasn't looking for any continuation or any sort of big moves. I was just kind of scalping here those 1%, which actually ended up working pretty well. I just didn't have enough size to really make it worthwhile, but yeah, it still ended up being, my best trading here. And, this is good. This is just me being like really relaxed, understanding what the ticker's doing, understanding the market, understanding it's kind of a flushy ticker as well, and just kind of being really conservative on the way I'm trading. So it's nice that to see things work out like that, even though it's just not amazing. But a big thing in this market is really just avoiding stuff that is not your bread and butter, is not your strategy. Don't do board trading. And I don't know, today I think I did all right. I just didn't get enough opportunities that allowed me to be green. So it was, yeah, it was just a shaky day. I don't think I really did that bad trading today. Obviously with BBIG, I feel like it was kind of annoying for, tripping over myself. All 3 trades I made on BBIG would have been green if I kept holding, but woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? Waiting for your setup is the way to play this market, and a good way to do that is by being fully rested and not being impulsive. And that's why I started out this video by talking about my sleep schedule. Because as irrelevant as that might sound to a lot of new traders, I think anyone who's been in the game for a little bit totally understands that mental clarity and your health is number one before anything else. Plus, I mean, if you're a day trader, you do it for freedom. No one becomes a day trader because they want to be tied to their computer their whole life, right? So for me, I always think, I need to make the market work in the best way for me personally and not the other way around. I don't want to be a slave to the market. So that's a really, really important part. But at the same time, consistency, dedication, and grinding are all fundamental, especially in the beginning of your trading journey. For anyone that's been here, since we were streaming, you definitely understand that. So I'm not going to ramble on about it. But, I think at one point you have to go through a little bit of a grinding phase. But I'm at that point in my career where if I'm grinding for no reason, because I already know what I'm looking for, it just feels extremely unnecessary. And it pays more dividends to be well rested and wait for that good momentum as it is just to keep grinding unnecessarily and then not have that energy when the market heats up. So that's all I'm going to say about that point. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to drop a like on the way out. Consider subscribing if you're new. And like always, guys, stay safe, make some awesome trades, and I'll see you an hour later tomorrow morning. Ciao, ciao.